There's something about Pre-Raphaelite art that I've always admired. The colors are vivid and the clothing in them is so dreamy and ethereal. There's a deep emphasis on nature and the natural world, which speaks directly to my soul. I've made historical dresses in the past that I would say would suit the Pre-Raphaelite aesthetic, but I've been feeling drawn to giving myself a Pre-Raphaelite makeover, not necessarily replicating the scene from any one painting, but creating the feeling and amalgamation of paintings from this movement might bring. If you're unfamiliar with the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, it was formed by 7 young artists in London who were feeling disillusioned with academic painting at the time, in this case, 1848. So naturally, they decided to do things their own way by forming a secret society and creating art that was inspired by the early Renaissance and late medieval period, otherwise expressed as art up until Raphael, hence the name Pre-Raphaelite. Honestly, I often see the Pre-Raphaelites and the movements that followed as sort of akin to the beatniks or the hippies or the punk rockers, because essentially I feel like those inspired by the Pre-Raphaelites were counterculture movements, and many periods in history have their version of this. As is the case with anyone going against the grain, some people were critical of the Pre-Raphaelites, including Charles Dickens. Dickens did not appreciate the PRB's move away from strict fine art rules and standards at the time. The Tate Modern describes in an article on why Pre-Raphaelites were so shocking, Pre-Raphaelite paintings are today seen as uncomplicatedly beautiful images, but when they were first painted in the mid-19th century, they were regarded as assaults on the eye, objectionable in terms of their realism and morally shocking. The PRB was quite short-lived. By 1854, the Brotherhood had already disbanded, however, its influence and members would continue to flourish. In fact, at the end of the 19th century, one of the founding members of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, pushed forward what is often seen as a second form of Pre-Raphaelitism, aesthetic Pre-Raphaelitism, influencing popular late 19th century movements in Europe such as the English aesthetic movement and the arts and crafts movement, and even the decadence movement. I absolutely adore the art and the fashion of the movements influenced by the PRB. So for this makeover, I have hand-sewn a dress, which I will be showing you all the process of in a moment, and then I'll be doing my hair and makeup. Amateurly, of course, since I'm definitely not a makeup artist or a hairstylist, but I want to see if I can recreate the overall vibe, let's say, of Pre-Raphaelite paintings. Unfortunately, I do not have a river to lay in like Ophelia for this shoot, so my studio will have to do. Before we move into the making of the Pre-Raphaelite dress, I wanted to share something I've proudly been working on, which is that I learned how to knit. I'm so excited about all the things I can now make. Thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare, I've been able to knit about half of this alpaca and cotton blend cowl, which is going to help keep me nice and warm this winter. Some of my favorite categories on Skillshare include crafts and DIY, film and video, photography, and illustration. But they really have so many options to choose from. I've been taking the class Knitting 101, Everything You Need to Knit with Confidence by Vincent Williams to guide me through my knitting project. And the pattern Vincent provides and guides you through is a usable cowl, which is such a brilliant first knitting project because it's actually wearable and it's challenging enough so you can learn the skills, but not so challenging that it's overwhelming. I've been feeling really excited watching my first knitted garment come alive. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, crafts, and more. Skillshare can help you take your career skills, hobbies, passions, and side hustles to the next level. This month, Skillshare is focusing on the theme Creativity as a Practice, which I can deeply relate to because I truly feel that our lives need room for creativity, much like we need rest and to look after other aspects of our well-beings. I've learned from my own life that creativity is like a muscle. It needs to be nurtured in order to flourish, and that's what Skillshare is here for. It's all about making the choice to learn and grow a creative practice of your own. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, which means if you finally want to learn how to knit, or if you'd like to explore another interest that's been on your radar for a while now, here's the chance. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now let's see how I practice my creativity with the making of this Pre-Raphaelite dress. For the garment, I decided to make a sort of underdress that I'm going to be wearing as a dress, and I'm basing it off of the Renaissance Italian camicia, and I referenced these two Pre-Raphaelite paintings for inspiration. I used the diagram on the site Festive Attire as a starting off point, and from there I thought about the needs of my own fabric and the desired results. Voile, the material that I'm making this dress out of, is notoriously very lightweight, so I knew that I would need to gather down as much as possible for the most dramatic effect. So I began by measuring all of the fabric I had, which was 58 inches wide by 196 inches long. Then I got to drawing. For the purpose of being able to fit my diagram on the page, I drew only around 98 inches or 2.5 meters, since the fronts and backs are a repeat of one another in my case. Well, actually, this thinking is what got me into a bit of a pickle, but you'll see why later on. I used each point of the ruler in my notes app to represent 5 inches in real life, and that helped me to get a more accurate drawing. I then realized I could squeeze 2 sleeves in on this section of my fabric, which meant I had extra to be able to add to the front and back pieces. I didn't bother redrawing the diagram because it wouldn't fit on the sheet anyways, so I just made a note of everything. So now the front and back pieces are going to be 45 inches long and 80 inches wide. Hopefully all of that fabric will look ethereal enough. I prepared all my pieces of the voile by using my favorite fabric cutting method, the snip and rip. And I did a little dance because of a realization I had. Oh my god. The hem is on the selvage. Yes! I don't have to hem. I don't have to hem. Or so I thought. And I ended up, like magic, with 2 body pieces, 2 sleeve pieces, and 4 triangles for the gussets. I pinned the gussets to the sleeves in the correct areas and stitched them down with back stitches and silk thread, and I flat-felled whatever raw edges I could for the time being, in order to prepare the sleeves to attach them to the body pieces. Then I stitched the gussets, now attached to the sleeves, to the body pieces, so everything got combined. This is also when I realized my crucial mistake. The front piece and back body piece were attached to the sleeves at different measurements, meaning that I was meant to cut one of the pieces shorter than the other to account for this difference. I ended up with one piece being 4 inches longer than the other, meaning I would actually need to hem that piece. Then I really just had left a whole lot of gathering, specifically at the sleeve cuffs and all along the neckline. Once I finished gathering, I bound the sleeves with some cuffs I created, and for the neckline, some bias tape that I made from the same fabric. And the dress was done. For my Pre-Raphaelite makeover, I'm going to be using this image as a reference point. I don't have anything on at the moment, makeup-wise, just a little bit of moisturizer. And so I'm gonna start by creating a really nice foundation and base. A lot of the people depicted in Pre-Raphaelite paintings have very smooth, and I would say almost glowy or luminous skin. So I'm going to achieve that by just putting on some foundation. It's more of like a CC cream, so it's very lightweight, it's not at all heavy. It's actually really fun doing makeup from a painting because there's not really like historical information behind it. You kind of just have to replicate the visual effect of it. And then I'm taking a bit of concealer for underneath my eyes because they do not depict these people in these paintings with dark under eye circles like mine. I mean, mine are, you know, okay, but I just want everything to be as even as possible to create the similar effect of the painting. So now I'm taking a setting powder, but it has a sort of illuminating mica effect, so it creates a much more dewy finish, I would say, versus it being more matte. Here comes the part I'm very excited for, the copious amounts of blush. I'm just looking at my reference image here. The blush seems to come from like the cheekbone all the way down into this part of the face. So I'm gonna try and extend mine a little bit, and it's gonna be extreme. I normally don't wear blush that sits that low, but I think the painting is trying to depict like a very flushed look. I've got some cream blushes, which I think will be the best option under my cheekbone. I will use a brush to blend it down, right? And then I'm just gonna drag a little bit down here on my face to create that sort of flushed look. And I'm also just gonna actually put a little bit here on my temples because with the way the light is hitting, it kind of looks like there's a little bit of color up here. And then moving on to the eyes, there's probably actually not like makeup per se in the painting, but to kind of create the look of it, there's a little bit of pink all over the lid. I'm just gonna blend this out even more with a blending brush, just so that everything is really smooth. And taking a little bit of a shimmery light color and dotting it into the middle. And then it feels like there is some brown kind of towards the eye line. So I'm actually gonna take a little bit of brown eyeliner and place it towards the eyelashes, like so, just really quickly. And I'm going to take a little brush and blend it out. And then the last step is I'm going to take some mascara and create a little darkness right at the lashes, because it looks like that's also the case in the painting, just to create a little contrast as well. And now looking at my blush, I really want to add a little bit more. I feel like there's room for more. I'm using the same color eyeshadow that I used for my eyelids and just bringing it down into my face a little bit more. For my temples as well. So far, this is what I have, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's very much in the direction of what I'm going for. Now I'm going to do my eyebrows a little bit, just add a touch of color to make them a little bit more contrasty. And then the lips, which are actually kind of bold in Pre-Raphaelite paintings. It's impressive. All right, so I'm just going to start by brushing my eyebrows out. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of color into my brows to define them a little bit, because her brows seem to be more defined in the painting. Oof, my leg is falling asleep. Okay, I should probably do something about that. Very painful. Pins and needles. And not the nice kind that you sew with. I'm using a light hand here because I don't want to make my eyebrows super defined, but just a little bit. One time one of my friends was trying to say eyebrows are sisters, not twins. And she ended up saying, eyebrows are cousins, not sisters. And I was thinking like, wow, if eyebrows were cousins, there's a chance that they could just be completely differently looking because, yeah, cousins often look nothing like one another. Right now it almost feels like something's missing on my face, and I'm like, yeah, that's because the lips. We need to do the lips. I think that will make it very Pre-Raphaelite feeling. I'm just gonna go in and line my lips a little bit with a pinkish shade and then go in and dab on some redder color. So I'm going to try this one and see. I don't know, I think it's a bit too blue. See if this one's better. Feels a little bit more orange undertone. Uh-oh, climbing up my face. Okay, let me try. I don't wear lipstick very often. I like it, but I feel like I over blended it, and so now it feels like it's just smeared all over my face. And the lips are quite glossy. So I'm going to go in with a sparkly tint. See if that creates a little bit more light dimension. And looking at it, I want even more blush, I think. Now my hair, I diffused it because I have wavy hair, and so that way it actually has a little bit more volume. But I'm gonna try and get even more volume by taking a botanical texturizing hairspray and just try and get a little of that into my hair to see if it will add a little bit more texture if I flip my head upside down and do some scrunching. Because I feel like in all the Pre-Raphaelite paintings, they always have this really thick, long hair, and luckily I have very long hair and it's quite thick as well, so I think I can recreate it pretty well just using my natural hair. Also, it's interesting because some of them are with hair down like my hair is right now, and then other paintings have like this cute bun look, which I think is really pretty as well, but I want to do the flowy hair thing to go with the ethereal dress that I made, so. Alright, I've added the hairspray and just doing a bit of scrunching. It's one of those natural ones, so it doesn't have the best hold, but it helps to create a bit of texture, which I think is really good for this purpose. All right, let's see how that worked. Okay, this looks... I look like I have a rat's nest, oh my god. Okay, let me try and comb this a bit to make it presentable. Definitely more volume though, so that's good. When I was a kid, my dad used to always tell me that my hair was like a rat's nest because it would get so tangled and he'd be like, oh my god, your hair's in a rat's nest. I'm like, I know, and then we would brush it out together. It's nothing too out there, to be honest. I've done far more adventurous historical makeup looks than this one, and hair for that matter. But I like it, and I think it's going to look really nice with the gown as well. And I feel like I'm wearing so much blush. It's almost like 18th century levels of blush. I'm going to get dressed now in the new garment I made and accessorize, and I will see you all in a little bit. Alright, I'm going to try and recreate one of the paintings, Lady Lilith. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see, the chair is kind of there. Mirror. She has a comb. I don't have a comb. Alright. Oh, you can't see me. Let me move my tripod. Oh, it's all flipped, isn't it? Okay. It should be this way instead. She's sitting kind of like this. I don't even know. Yeah, something like this. And just imagine I have a comb in my hair right now. Does that look similar? I feel like I'm trying so hard. I think you get the point though, of what I'm going for. It needs to be a little bit more off my shoulder. Okay, something like this. I can't be that serious right now, everything's too funny. I also don't know where to put the mic here. I'm gonna try and hide it in my shirt. More off the shoulder. Hair has to be... Oh, actually I think her hair is like... Wait. Other way, this way. But it's the opposite shoulder then. Oh. I do need to be the other direction. Whoops. My hair is not untamed enough for this, but you get the point. Something like this. This is the result of my Pre-Raphaelite makeover, and I absolutely love how this dress turned out. I think it ended up being so pretty, and I'm going to wear this so much over the summer. I've been admiring the Pre-Raphaelites for years, so it feels great to properly give myself a Pre-Raphaelite makeover and turn myself a little bit into one of the paintings, or at least inspired by the paintings. It's actually a very simple make, and I think it's very beginner friendly as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I certainly know that I enjoyed making this episode, so hopefully you all can feel that through the camera. Alright, well, I'll see you all in 2 weeks for another video. Bye!